Hey guys, Connor Richards of PokerNews here, and this is Life Outside Poker. Hello everyone, Connor Richards of PokerNews here with Life Outside Poker. I'm here with Samantha Abernathy. Samantha, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So you just bagged day one of the main event here at the World Series of Poker. We're going to talk about that. You're also a WSOP free-to-play app ambassador, so lots of fun stuff to talk about. But I do want to go back earlier in your life and talk about getting into poker and your life before that. So starting off, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Northeast Georgia.
Okay.
If you're familiar, it's maybe
I'm from the West Coast, but
Okay, so about an hour and a half north of Atlanta. And then I actually moved to Atlanta to go to college, and so that was kind of like where I started in life.
So talk about college. What were you studying in college?
At first, I was studying animation, and then I switched to motion graphics.
Nice. I went to the University of Utah, and I think that's where Pixar actually started. So
Yeah, I was so inspired by Pixar. As a child, everything Pixar was a dream to me. I thought it was so funny, and so it was just brilliant, you know? I went to SCAD. It was Savannah College of Art and Design.
So is that like what you wanted to do? Maybe like animate cartoons or work for Pixar one day?
At the time, that's what I thought I wanted to do. But I changed to motion graphics, and I ended up finding my way into UX UI design. Actually, I was working at an agency in Chicago. I was a junior UX UI designer, and I was working on apps, games, and software. And it was this team that actually sort of introduced me to poker. So,
Oh, really?
yeah. It was a very much like a startup vibe. We were like a small team in this incubator space in Chicago, and there were a lot of startups around us. So we had different games, and it was just a really fun, high energy startup atmosphere. And our team went to the casino and played poker, and none of us knew what we were doing. I think we were the dream group to show up to a cash game table. To be honest, it was such a blur, and none of us knew anything, but we had such a good time, you know? And I went home, and I remember I was in a new apartment. I still had things in boxes. I was laying on my mattress that was on the floor and in the app store looking for a poker app. And I found the WSOP free-to-play app. This was in 2013.
Wow.
So for me, it's full circle, all of this, you know?
That is pretty crazy that you
Yeah.
started playing on that WSOP free-to-play app and it comes full circle. What casino were you playing at over there in Chicago?
It was Horseshoe in Hammond.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, never been there, but actually our cameraman here, Adam, is from Chicago, so he's probably very familiar with it. But and so something else you were into early in life was you were a competitive gymnastics
Yeah.
participant, is that right?
Yeah, I
Talk
was a
about that.
gymnast. I was a gymnast until age 14, and then I switched to competitive cheerleading. But that was my whole life. For growing up, everything was gymnastics and my dog and gymnastics. It was if I wasn't in school, I was in the gym, or I was at home, training my dog to do tricks. I really believed that I could teach my dog to say one word. I was so obsessed with gymnastics and my dog. And then in high school, I switched to competitive cheerleading, and I had an injury when I was 18, which prevented me from going to school and competing, and that led to going to art school. So kind of, yeah.
Well, sorry about the injury, but you do see a lot of poker players who are former athletes, and what do you think it is about that what's the connection there? Do you think it's just the competitive mindset or learning to be disciplined, or what do you think you got out of that translates to poker?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of overlap. For sure, the discipline is there with gymnastics. It's a very independent sport. It's just I mean, you have your team, but it's really you versus you. And then in competitive cheerleading, it's total opposite. It's your team relies on each other. So I think it's definitely the discipline, and probably also the competitive mindset.
Yeah. So you talked about that job that you had, this group that introduced you to poker, and it sounded like a really fun group, fun time. When did you decide to move on from that and pursue poker more?
Sometime later in the same year. Actually, I think that was the end of 2013, so probably like in the beginning of 2014. I kind of had this like Hollywood dream of poker. Like it just seemed cool. At the time, it just like seemed cool and fun, and I was young and I was like, why not pursue something that seems cool and fun, you know? I didn't really know what I was getting into at the time, but I thought I could do it, you know?
Were there any poker players you looked up to at the time? I'm thinking about who was big back then. Seems like Liv Boeree came up around that same time. Vanessa Seltz is another big name who's also making her return to the World Series of Poker. Who were some of the players you looked up to back then?
I would say like when I first got into poker, I wasn't watching poker. You know, I like I said, I went to the casino with my friends from work and then I was playing on the app and I wasn't watching these like high stakes cash games and stuff in the beginning. But once I started playing tournaments and stuff like that, there were certainly a lot of female figures that naturally you relate to and see as like inspirational. Vanessa Selves, Liv. I think all of those girls during that time I thought were so inspirational to
Yeah,
me.
definitely. And so you said this was around 2013. I think your first cash was in 2014. It was, I think, at the famous poker series at Planet Hollywood, which is interesting because,
Really?
yeah, because that poker room closed down and they actually just opened up a couple months ago. So I played there. And so it's kind of another full circle thing. But uh, I think it was a card player article I read, but they said that you cashed like 30 tournaments in Las Vegas in 2014. So you were really grinding hard. Talk about what that was like. Were you just playing all around town, just playing dailies or?
Yeah, and I was thinking about this the other day because I was walking through the Venetian and the smell, like it's so nostalgic for me because I was there
No.
every day and I saw the same people every day and it felt like my community, you know. I felt like that was where I was supposed to be. And even some days I would show up for the nightly, like $70 tournament at Caesar's Palace, and they would cancel it because they didn't have enough people. And I was so disappointed because it was like the only thing I was doing that day, you know. But yeah, I used to like play all of the dailies. And then when Caesar's closed, I think I was playing Venetian, Aria. Even when Aria started doing Player of the Month, I was Player of the Month one time. Not to toot my own horn, but it's just like funny to go back to those days, you know, because I loved it. I really loved poker. You know, when you get that I don't want to say the bug, but when you really fall in love with it, that's where I was at.
Yeah. I didn't play poker back then, but my dad's a poker player, so I'm from Utah. We would always come down to Vegas, so I was always hanging out in the area at that time. But cash game scene in Vegas has really changed a lot over the decade. A lot of rooms shut down during COVID. Are you still playing cash much, or do you have any thoughts on how the scene has evolved?
I'm not playing so much live cash. I'm actually not living in Vegas.
You're in Andorra.
Yeah, that's right. But I used to, and I think being back, I haven't played any live cash. I'm just like in a different chapter right now, but it is something that I play online.
Yeah. And so you were also so you played a lot of like 2-5 and 5-10. What made you want to, focus more on tournaments? Because you had a big score in 2016 that we'll talk about, probably a career highlight for you at the Aussie Millions. But yeah, when did you decide that you wanted to take on those big events like that?
I started playing, so I was playing all the nightlies in Vegas, and then I think I got second in a Venetian tournament for like 25K. And in the moment, I just remember thinking I was rich, and I was like, that was my moment, you know? And I got invited to play some of the Poker Night in America streams, and those went well, and I started making friends with some other players, and like Natasha Mercier, I don't know if you know her, but she was like, let's go to Monaco, and we went to Monaco, and I played my first EPT, and I was just like on this adventure at the time. And I think that everything just kind of unfolded the way it did. Like it's hard to even imagine myself now taking the same decisions that I was making then. But thinking about it is kind of funny the way that it went from like this one Venetian tournament to the streams to then playing tournament circuits, you know?
Those EPT stops are a lot of fun. I've gotten to go to plenty of them with PokerNews. What would you say is your favorite EPT stop?
I mean, I love Monaco. I was just there recently. It's so beautiful. Yeah, probably Monaco.
Monaco's a good one, yeah. Barcelona's probably my favorite, but you get
Another
fun
good one.
experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the deep run that I mentioned was in the 2016 Aussie Millions Main Event. This is another poker series that's a little before my time. I would love if they brought it back. It's very prestigious, but you had a third place finish for over 400K, still your best career cash. Talk about that run.
It felt like it wasn't even a thing when it was happening. Looking back, it still feels like a blur, but I think when I was in it, it just felt like it was exciting, but it didn't feel like the way I thought it would feel.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think in the moment, it was almost like I had accepted that this was going to happen. You know what I mean? It was like weird. And even when it was over, it didn't even feel like something big. I think maybe I was in shock. I don't know. I just hadn't really processed everything that just happened. I think when you play, it was my first time playing a 10K.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I don't know. I think I was also just so in this infatuation, in love with poker at the time that I just thought that anything was possible, you know? So it wasn't, I don't know. I just thought that this was going to happen a lot of times, you know?
Yeah, I think a lot of people have that honeymoon phase of
Yeah.
poker, and especially having a huge run like that. And like you said, I can imagine just the adrenaline taking over and it all kind of feeling like a blur. So one of the highlights from that tournament, kind of a notorious moment, is you were sickeningly slow rolled by somebody in that main event. I don't know how deep in the tournament this was. Was this early on?
No, I think it was maybe 3 tables.
Okay, so
It
three
was
tables long.
somewhere really deep. Yeah.
So maybe we'll be able to put in the footage here, but basically what happened is you were all in with pocket sixes and your opponent went in the tank. He has pocket kings, an easy call. So he flips over his hand. Everyone seems pretty disgusted. Everyone's rooting for you. And as the board runs out, a 6 lands on the river. So, I mean, that's just like a made for TV moment. What was that like in the moment?
Yeah. So what happened was, I think Under the Gun opens, and this guy means to call, but puts in enough chips for a raise. So I interpreted this as a mistake, which I think I just stepped right into the trap, you know? I think that he intentionally angled. And then here I am, like, la la la, trying to take advantage of this mistake. So the joke was a little bit on me. But when it folded back around to him, he was like tanking, and it became very obvious that it wasn't a nit roll. It was a slow roll. He was celebrating before he even saw my hand, so it's not like he was just so afraid of aces. But in the moment, I don't know if it's in the clip or not, but Kitty Quo was in my table, and he had been saying to her, ship it to Papa. Like, he had been saying that in hands where he would 3-bet and she would fold, and he would say this quote. And so when this hand happened, she was so happy, and it just became this camaraderie moment where we really bonded, and you just felt like the energy in the room. I felt like the chat from Twitch was sending their energy in this moment. And it felt like right time, right place kind of situation.
Yeah. Shout out to Kitty Quo. I actually just had her husband Frankie on this podcast. Yeah. So yeah, that's crazy that she was at that table. But
yeah.
So what do you think that run did for your career as far as, I don't know, getting your name out there or bringing about ambassador opportunities, or I don't know, how pivotal was that run for you?
It was the most pivotal. It definitely put me on the map. I think in the sort of Vegas reg community, I was already there and visible and in that environment. But as far as on a different scale, it really kind of launched me into that world.
That's awesome. So how about the years after that? How much poker were you playing, say, from 2016 to now, and when did you decide to step back?
Yeah, I have these sort of ebbs and flows with poker. I think maybe 1 year before COVID or 2 years before COVID, I sort of took a step back. I was doing some stuff with marketing. And then COVID hit, and live poker took a pause, Yeah. And I think once it came back, there was this new sort of energy again with poker. And at least for me, I certainly felt like I wanted to play again. And it's something that I've realized that's just always going to be part of my life. And I think in some moments it has a bigger role. In some moments, I think that balance is not like doing everything at the same time, but maybe knowing when to kind of pull back. And for me, that's kind of how it went.
Yeah.
It was after COVID, really.
After COVID. And so, as far as other things going on in your life, you recently became a mother, so congratulations.
Thank you.
And you're also married to a high stakes poker player who I've written about a few times because he wins so many Poker Go events that I'm always writing up these recaps. But yeah, talk about that aspect of your life.
Yeah, it is really special. Becoming a mom, it's like changed my life in all the best ways. I think it has given me a new sense of presence and like the importance of being present, because I feel every moment passing, like as it's passing, and it makes me want to just like hold on to the moment. And I think that's something that even I can bring to the table, that maybe in the past I wasn't as connected to the moment, or I didn't have that deeper sense of presence that I have now, But it's cool though. It's cool that like as poker is evolving, I think that what it means to be a poker player is also evolving. Like for me, I'm able to be a mom, a partner, a character inside the game, and still very much be a part of the poker world,
Yeah, that's awesome. And so your husband, am I correct in saying that he's really a pot limit Omaha specialist?
Yeah, 4 cards. Actually, we just talked about some hands yesterday from the main event, and it's hard for us to talk about hands because he's the PLO guy and I'm not a PLO guy, So we end up like getting into these little battles and then checking the solver and being like, that's what we did this morning about a hand that I played yesterday.
I was gonna ask if you caught the PLO bug, if you're into it as much as him.
I haven't really gone there. I think I started playing some PLO cash and he was like, play 50,000 hands, let's look at them and we can see. And I just never got to 50,000. For a while I was like break even, then I was losing a little bit, and then things changed and I just wasn't playing that much PLO.
Yeah. So one other thing on the topic of motherhood, I was looking at your Instagram, and I think it was at EPT Monte Carlo that you posted that on the breaks you were running to your little baby. So
yeah,
that's pretty fun bringing them to Monte Carlo.
Yeah, no, I don't know if I would say fun. I mean,
Maybe not fun.
It's so interesting though, because we're lucky that we got a room here, because I'm nursing, so on the breaks I have to be there.
Okay.
He needs me, so I have to even leave the table maybe a couple minutes early to skip the crowds. Like I can't afford to be in a crowd or stuck in the elevator or whatever. So I literally run to the baby, and if I didn't have the room, I would be in the bathroom like pumping on breaks. This is like just part of being a mom that, I don't know, it's just my reality right now, which is so cool, and it is fun, but it is it's interesting.
Yeah, fun might not have been the right word, but it sounds very special, and that was a sweet post when I saw it.
No,
so.
It's like every minute of break counts, If I see someone, I'm like, I'm so sorry, I can't, and I'm just like running past people,
Yeah. And so your husband, I want to make sure I'm pronouncing his name right. Is it Lautaro?
Lautaro, yeah.
Is he here? Is he playing the WSOP?
He's here, and we have, at the moment, alternated our day ones. So I played 1C, he's going to play 1D. So then hopefully if we're both in day 2, those are different days. So he's on baby duty while I'm playing, which was cute. Yesterday on the break it was the last break of the night, and he was in the hallway with the carrier,
That's great. You got to get a photo of that. That's a great image. So yeah, you mentioned he's playing 1D today as we're filming this. You played 1C. I actually came to come and find you yesterday because I wanted to set up this interview. And I got to watch you play a few hands just as I was kind of waiting for the button to go around, get a good time to come and talk to you. But it looked like you were doing pretty well. You bagged a little bit above starting stack. What was the day one experience like for you?
I had such a good table.
Did you?
I had one guy 2 seats to my right that had me laughing for hours. Like even during the break, when I was in a quiet room with my baby, I started laughing again, thinking about something that he said. But sometimes this can really help the time pass, and kind of keep you feeling normal. Like it was such a good day. At some point I peaked at 110K, and then I ended up losing like a pretty important pot at the end of the night. This is the hand that I was talking about with my husband, where we were both like a little bit shocked at what the solver says to do. We checked this morning and we were both like, wow, okay. But I was really happy to bag 70K. I think coming into day 2, this is still a lot of big blinds. There's still a lot of play left. And this is, I mean, you can't really ask for more than that. So.
And when we were talking about your Aussie Millions run, you said that was your first 10K that you've played. Now you have lots of experience in 10K. You've played the main event many years. What do you think you've gotten out of that experience? How different are you of a player than when you were at that Aussie Millions?
Yeah, oh gosh, night and day. I think that was probably Aussie Millions was maybe 8 years ago. So thinking about where I was at 8 years ago, I was like in my mid-20s or early 20s, something like this. So experience changes everything, you know, volume obviously changes everything. The way that I think about the game is totally different. The way that I think about a 10K buy-in is totally different. I was selling action then. Things are different now. And also this is like the event in the year that you look forward to more than any other event. So I don't know. I think mentally I was ready for this moment. I like to be there from the start of the day to play the first hand. So yeah.
Before we talk about this WSOP Play app, do you have any advice for any players out there who maybe this is their first main event or maybe next year they're wanting to play it? Because it is such a unique tournament, it's a high buy-in, but lots of recreationals and satellite players and things like that.
Yeah, yesterday on my left, I had a guy who qualified through a stage tournament completely for free. So I had this conversation with him because I was just like so happy for him. I really wanted him to cash, but just didn't go his way. But I would say there are so many opportunities to get involved. There's so many different promotions and things, even through the WSOP free-to-play app. They're giving away opportunities like this. There's so many different ways that you can get into poker without that risk, and you can start to build confidence and learn the game. And then when you're ready to take that step, I think it's there for you, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's a good transition to talk more about this WSOP free-to-play app, because you're one of their global ambassadors. You also have an in-game avatar, so that's exciting for players on there. And you've worked with WSOP before. A couple years ago, you were part of their Thrill team.
Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of exciting players on that. I remember interviewing some of them, like Patrick Antonius and Adam Hendricks. So yeah, why did you want to get involved with WSOP?
For me, it's just the personal connection. So when the Thrill team came about, I was thrilled. I was so excited. And that turned into something that we did last year where I wasn't in the app yet. I was sort of traveling around the world to these different poker tournaments, and players could sort of travel with me and collect like the different stops. And so we did like an album around that. And this year, when I'm basically like returning from the travels, I go home and there's this like big green button that I press and become a cartoon and go into the game. And it's like turned into this whole thing where now I am inside the game. And I think for me, since it is such a personal connection, I have been able to connect with a new audience and also be a part of like other players' journeys from the beginning, you know, and that like really excites me.
Yeah. So the great thing, of course, about a free-to-play app is anybody can play it. It doesn't cost any money.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, people, of course, are going to want to win things or play for real money. So you mentioned that there are actually some ways to do that, and talk about some of those opportunities.
Which opportunities?
Are there things on the WSB free-to-play app where you can, I don't know, qualify for things or things like that?
Even right now, every Sunday they're doing a raffle where they're giving away a trip to Vegas. It's like the ultimate poker dream vacation. They're giving away flights, hotels, spending money, all of it is covered. So it's really cool because the players in the app are able to like get that feeling of the thrill, but also the social element. And then they might even find themselves here at the real World Series of Poker.
That's awesome. So there are some more just general questions that I want to ask you that I like asking all guests. The first one is if you have a book that you would recommend people. Doesn't have to be poker related, or it doesn't even have to be a book. I also ask movies sometimes.
Movies, definitely not. Not a movie buff. Books, gosh, I have so many. It's like, where to even start? One that I enjoyed recently is called The Mountain Is You.
Mm-hmm.
And I would recommend that book. It's not a poker book.
Not a poker book, that's fine.
Yeah.
We take all sorts of recommendations. So another question that I have is, thinking back on your poker career in those early days, what is a piece of advice that you'd give to your younger self?
Ooh, I have so many. I would say just stay true to yourself. You know, play your game, stay true to yourself, stay in your lane, and, you know, what's yours is yours.
That's great advice. And so one of the things that I love about poker is that it kind of is a metaphor for lots of aspects of life. There's so many things you can learn from poker that apply to whether it's business or just personal life or things like that. So do you have a favorite life lesson from poker?
Yeah, I think it's somewhere between patience and presence. And I think that it's something that we can always improve. And it's something that I've seen great improvement in my life. And I know that there's more work to do. So
That's great advice. Samantha, it's been great talking to you. Good luck in the main event. Are you going to be playing anything else this summer?
yeah, I'm playing online mostly in this
Okay.
chapter, but I might play some of the post limbs.
Great.
So-
Well, we'll see you on there. Thanks.
Thank you.